Forbidden Rice. I'm Ryan Louie.
And I'm Vincent.
We have chips and salsa, Heineken, and Pabst Blue Ribbon. Pabst Blue Ribbon, baby!
The drink of every burly American out there.
So, what's the story behind this room? Because it wasn't here the last time we did a in-person Forbidden Rice. We've been doing rice separate, but now we're back together.
Well, it was finally done being built in September of last year.
Was this real estate there, or was it an add-on, like they built out, or was this kind of section of the home already?
It was definitely an add-on. So nothing existed here. It's just literally just empty space.
So that's cool. It's like your little backyard podcast studio. Attached to your room, you got your mic set up, you got your laptop or computer set up, and sadly you're gonna be leaving soon. So do your parents feel like that? Did your family feel like they invested in this extension for nothing?
I don't think so, because it was just an awkward space, empty space when you went to that backyard. So I think they had all the intention to fill it up with something. But I will miss being in this little quote studio.
So I guess it's like your sister's room, the rear kind of extended into the yard, and then there is like dead space to the side of it. So you kind of like squared it off into a full rectangle.
That's right.
Wow. Well, the main reason we're doing this today is because you're leaving San Francisco. Overall, I wanted to kind of go into the idea of identity and how where you live, your location has impact or has a role in how you identify. But before that, we had like some other warm-up topics to go on to. Do you have any thoughts on where we're going overall today before we go into the warm-up stuff?
No, this is fun. I'll be hitting the airwaves of Sacramento and very soon, so watch out, Sacktown.
So to open, you wanted to talk about the XFL.
Yes, the newest and hottest sports thing on the block.
So it's been what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? That was week 3 because I watched a little bit.
I think it's the third week.
We just finished week 3. Today is February 25th. What did you want to say about the XFL?
Well, to be quite honest, my sample size is quite small because I've only seen one game. So I'm just riffing on one game sample. So it might not be representative of the entire league.
It's going to be a lot of eating and drinking. What teams did you see?
I think it was the Los Angeles something and the Houston Roughnecks.
Okay.
And I feel like the names of these XFL teams are just so strange. Like they're not even something basic, like something commonplace, like Roughnecks or like Battle Hawks or whatever. It's just I've never heard of these terms, and I feel like someone just remember how in elementary school you would take in English class or whatever, you would take words from outside from a box and just combine them to make a word. I feel like the people who made the teams just took random cool sounding words and just threw them together.
That's how you learn how compound words work.
Exactly.
So here are the teams. It's the Dallas Renegades. Okay. Houston Roughnecks. The LA Wildcats. Very basic common name. definitely when compared to the other ones. The New York Guardians, the St. Louis Battlehawks, the Seattle Dragons, the Tampa Bay Vipers, and the DC Defenders.
Yeah, it just sounds very, I don't know, maybe I'm just so used to NFL names that some of these sound very absurd to me. Like the Defenders and the Renegades.
It's hard to parse out what is your own personal history with these teams and what is like, oh, that's just that's a basic name, that's a name that doesn't stand out, that's bland, or it's just or a name that tries too hard. Good case study is the Packers. It's weird. It's very specific, but I guess we've lived with it for so long that I don't know, where do you stand on that?
I feel like the Packers is a good example of just being really unique, but also it carries that historical legacy that even though it's unique, that's what you appreciate. Like, that's why you appreciate it, because it's like it carries history, and it's like it represents Wisconsin and that field, Lambeau Field. So it's like one of those teams that has such a rich culture and history that it's like it's a boon for the league instead of a detriment.
Yeah, and it's not generic. If the Green Bay Packers never existed and they became an XFL team, I think it would be weird. But because we have that, but I think it would, I don't know, maybe it would be weird, but maybe it would quickly emerge as like, this is a cool name, this is a cool concept. But it would take a little bit of time, I think.
Yeah, I'm still struggling to get used to these names, these XFL names.
Yeah, it's just a very, all the names are as if they were created by an extreme Mountain Dew drinking dude. The Renegades, the Roughnecks. There's like this intensity to it. There's not really
an extra boost of testosterone.
There's no grace, but it's hard to just invent grace. I don't know. Maybe all the good names are taken. And Green Bay Packers just has a nice cadence, has a nice phonetic quality. It sounds good on the ears. Good flow. What about the on-field product? Did you have thoughts on that, or what were your main takeaways?
Well, first, my main takeaway is I don't know if it's because I'm just used to NFL pacing, but it felt really slow. Like I was watching a college football game. Like it felt like running backs and wide receivers were running like a hair of a second slower than their NFL counterparts. So I was just like, my immediate thought was, I feels like I'm watching like a college game.
I see. So by pacing you mean like the speed of the players?
Yeah, the speed of the players.
But would you say the pace of the game flow is faster?
I think supposedly a lot of the rules were designed to make it more exciting, make it more offensive or oriented.
I saw some weak ass offense this past weekend.
Okay, here's the thing. But the game that I watched, the offense was horrible. It was like 3 and out every single play for like the first, like one of the teams scored on their first possession and then literally every team proceeded to go 3 and out until like the third quarter. It was so sad. I was like, I must be watching like amateur hour here.
Yeah. Maybe just, I don't know. There's got to be something. Maybe just like play 10 on 11 or something.
10 on 11. Oh, you mean no one's rushing the quarterback or whatever?
Or just to have the defense have 10 people. And the offense have 11 people.
Yeah.
Because sometimes
everyone would just play zone.
You just try to manufacture offense, but I don't know. But you also want to be more violent too. So it's hard to. I don't know if that's true. Did you see did people get away with bigger hits? I didn't watch long enough to.
I feel like the tackling was standard, but shoot, I Oh, the funny thing about, how you mentioned about the offense and trying to essentially create offense so it's more entertaining for the fans. I remember, I think it was several days ago, I was on Twitter and I saw that they were comparing one of the quarterbacks in the league. I believe his name is PJ Wilson. Apparently, so they were making how they were equivalating his 3 touchdown a game performance to like Dak Prescott or another NFL quarterback. So like elevating his skills to NFL level NFL caliber play. And I'm just like, I don't know whether I didn't know whether to laugh or to feel sad.
Yeah, because everything they do is in relief, is in contrast to the NFL. Every decision they make is made with the NFL in mind, and that ultimately they kind of want to they want to improve on it or overshadow it, but like I guess what happens is that the NFL just kind of looms large over it. You just kind of get reminded that this isn't the NFL. Another thing that they wanted to do to make the game more entertaining is all the presentation aspects. Did you have any thoughts on that?
I think I immediately saw the scoreboard, and it made me really think about, I think it was Fox, but I think they had the little score thing in the middle, in the bottom, but in the middle. So it reminded me of Fox, if I recall correctly. But what's your take on that? On the whole graphics and presentation.
Do you want any chips? By any chance?
More chips.
You want more chips? You can take them over to your side if you want. Well, I think the big thing is there are big presentation differences. So one, everybody on the field is wearing a mic, basically. Quarterback's wearing a mic. You can hear every audible, every cadence more loudly, more clearly. A lot of the players are wearing mics, so you hear chatter and celebration after every play. They have, say, like a team scores a touchdown. They come off the field from a touchdown, and the sideline reporter can interview them. Whereas in the NFL, the sideline reporter interviews is restricted to basically at halftime and at the end of games. There's more on-field cameras, and those on-field cameras have microphones too. So you feel like they're trying to put you in the game, trying to give you a look of the NFL or a look at football that you've never seen before. And they cut to the offensive coordinator booth, and you can hear the offensive coordinator's full play call.
Okay, I did notice that there was a lot more mics because they kept panning to like the head coach when he, when there's like a little stop and play, you could hear him talking with his players, and then you can, like you said, hear the offensive coordinator call plays, which I thought was interesting because I like hearing that stuff, but I was also thinking from like from a strategic point of view, like what if someone, remember how recently the Houston Astros got into trouble for relaying signs, and I'm thinking, what if someone had a live feed to the game, and when they heard the offensive coordinator call a play, they would quickly try to flip through the playbook to see if they could defend it. That was my first thought. I was like, I appreciate the transparency, but I was also thinking about if the other team would use that as an advantage.
Yeah, because hypothetically, you could memorize every single. Either you have to change your play calling language every week, or you're just like, fuck it, and there might be somebody watching the game, but they don't hear the play every time. They only go to the coordinator once in a while.
Yeah.
But I guess when they do, then they can just have like a matrix, and with that matrix they'll be like, oh, when we hear this play call, I'll just automatically know to call this defense, and then they would have the perfect defense for every time the play call was broadcasted on the broadcast.
I think you're right, because I unlike the live feed to the baseball game where you can clearly see the signs every single pitch, the pan to the offensive coordinator calling the plays only happens like once in a while. So it's not like you have a massive advantage like the Houston Astros. So I guess it kind of like yeah.
It's I think my overall take is they're trying to give so much access and really blow up access, and that makes sense. Like I like watching like the NFL mic'd up segments on YouTube after like a week of NFL. You watch those
Mic'd up I actually don't watch the mic'd up, but I used to like the videos where they do the bad lip syncing for the mic'd up moments.
Oh, they dub it over.
Yeah, they dub it over into something funny. I used to watch like a couple of those, and I thought at first when I first started, that was really hilarious. But I don't watch the mic'd up.
So people like mic'd up, and it's on YouTube all the time. The question is, do you want mic'd up to stay on YouTube, or do you want it to become the TV product? Because I think when it becomes a TV product, football changes from theater to documentary. You know, like the amount of access kind of takes away from the gracefulness of the product, the dramatics. Because when you have like constant access, sideline interviews all the time, it kind of removes the veil and it removes the mystique of the game, and it turns it from drama to documentary, basically.
I would have to agree, because I think if they just did mic'd up all the time, then, you know, I think for me, it'll probably get annoying. But I think they could, how I see it is, I like how it is in the NFL, but they can do a mic'd up segment when talking about running specific plays, or, like you said, using it as part of a documentary. But I also would like, you know, I don't. The one thing that I don't like about the mic'd up segments in the NFL is like they act like they're trying to be transparent, because they're like, oh, let's tune in to like what someone so and so said while
like the in-game mic'd up, not like the YouTube.
Yeah, not the YouTube, but the in-game.
Yeah, where they throw it in for a brief amount of time.
Yeah, when they throw it in, it's always edited, obviously for like FCC reasons, but still.
All right, guys, let's go.
Yeah,
let's do this.
It doesn't feel authentic. It just feels like, oh, let's take a really highly edited and clean section of audio and sell it to the listeners or the viewers.
Go make a play.
Yeah, come on, baby, let's go. Or come on, this is it, guys. Or woo. Yeah. That's my take.
Yeah, and that's a cool zag with XFL. I think what happens is, but I kind of settled on an analogy where essentially it's kind of like if we're analogizing it to the Oscars, the XFL is the live at the Oscars live at the red carpet. Basically the shit before the Oscars, where like, oh, let's go down to, we're going to interview Brad Pitt, and we're going to interview Sam Mendes, and we're going to just hop around, and it's going to be it's documentary. It's rougher on the edges because you're cutting to different people on the ground, and it's happening live, and your camera work is kind of reacting to what's happening on the red carpet. And then the NFL is like the actual Oscars. It's the theater, it's the presentation, it's more romantic, and it has a nice veil of stage and craft to it, and you're kind of carried through it all by Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, whereas in, live at the red carpet, you get drowned out by like multiple voices, multiple reporters, and they're all not really the main stewards of.
Oh my God, look at that blah 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 in the dress, or like, hey, oh my God, it's Matt Damon, we gotta go in for an interview.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, couture. It just is stunning, and it's just like a lot of boom, 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 boom. Different.
She's
people,
wearing
a
white whatever dress from blah blah blah.
Stunning. What are you wearing tonight? Yeah, it's just like, and it has its purpose, but more people watch the Oscars than watch Live at the Red Carpet. That's kind of what I settled on with the XFL.
I don't think I've ever seen Live at the Red Carpet, but I feel like I've heard snippets.
Last thing, uniforms. Yeah, I like the LA uniforms, and I like the DC Defenders uniforms.
Is that on this on the notes that we were doing?
I have a link on there that goes to the uniforms. The DC Defenders only two colors. They don't have a tertiary color to kind of accent, and it gives it a simplicity, but still there's a experimentation with it with the cross thunderbolt on the helmet.
What's this?
The LA one, it reminds me of Any Given Sunday.
Which one is which?
So both of those pictures that I showed you are from Any Given Sunday, the movie, and I think it's kind of like they nailed the uniforms because the top one, they're like, oh, we're all black, simple, two colors, black and white, a lot of black. Black always looks intimidating. It's dramatic. It's theatrical. Then the bottom one is like the other team. They go all in on being very gaudy. They have a big old red cross on the front of their jersey instead of a number.
It reminds me of wait, they go big on the god?
Yeah.
Is that even allowed in the... Oh, wait, no, this is a movie.
It's from a movie, though. So you can't really do that. But I think what happens is like the Vipers or the Battle Hawks or the Roughnecks, they all use very similar color distribution patterns. Oh, we're gonna make the shoulder a different color than the chest, and we're gonna put a logo on the shoulder, and we're gonna have a stripe down the side, or we're gonna do the USC style tube, like white, black, white tubing, or red, blue, red tubing on the shoulders. It's all like the same conventions of color distribution in uniforms from a lot of these XFL teams. I think they just gotta either really go for it and do something really weird, or do something really simple like the All Blacks in Any Given Sunday.
I would have to agree. They have to either go the full Oregon Ducks, like just flash, go all in, or do something like, like Penn State.
Yeah.
They just go for the, what is that? I think it's maroon or white, or like red and white or whatever.
Oh, Penn State?
Yeah.
Colorblind.
Yeah.
They're blue.
They're blue. Wow, that's really bad. But, okay, so either Penn State or like the old Cleveland Browns from a couple of years ago that just had like the white and the brown, or like just all brown. It's just really clean, but
current Cleveland Browns bad.
Yeah, I feel like the Cleveland Browns they're trying to up their level of not just play, but how they market themselves. They want to look like they're the fashionable team. But yeah, either go in with a flash, or just keep it nice, simple, basic, like black and white, red and white.
Yeah,
like all black.
They try to modernize. Like, people try to modernize, but it's like I hate this design trend. We want to modernize our uniforms, but still pay tribute to our roots. And then you have something like stuck in the middle that's modern, but it's also safe. And it's like you have safe patterns with, like, XFL is a lot of familiar patterns, generic patterns with like intense colors.
Yeah, I noticed that. I feel like they had it was familiar patterns, but then they would just have like weird ass colors in those patterns, like near the armpits, or like near the side of their like pants, or like just a little something on their shoulder pads. It's just like, it just throws me off, because it's like you either gotta go like solid everything, like a basic, nice and basic, or
I've never seen anything like this.
Just blow it up. Just be like Seattle Seahawks, Oregon Ducks, Seattle Seahawks. Just freaking go all in.
Yeah. Right now they seem like they're like, I'm gonna like create a custom team in Madden. That's what it kind of looks like.
It reminds me of those. It kind of reminds me of when I used to play MLB The Show. You would get to, sometimes you would, if you create your character, you would first start off with all these random minor league teams in the baseball realm, and then we're all used to the color conventions of the MLB teams, but in the AA, the AAA, you get weird names like what, Fresno Grizzlies, River Cats, and all that weird names, and then they got all these weird color combinations and weird like mascots. It's just it feels like that. It just feels like, not only does it feel that way, it's always, I feel like the commentators always remind us that this is like a next level down from the NFL, because they're always saying like, oh, this guy was a whatever top 5. No, this guy was like picked in the 5th round, and he had issues of injuries, and now he's earning another chance to the league. Or like, oh, this person, he was a walk-on star, but now he's earning his stripes in the XFL or whatever. So not only does it feel like this is bottom barrel NFL, it's reinforced by the commentary.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be an experimental hub for football. I feel like that's a good way that they could brand themselves, but they're not really experimenting with the uniforms. All right, that was supposed to be our warm-up.
that was an episode in itself.
So another thing before we go into the meat, Bernie. Any thoughts on Bernie? Winner of Nevada. Someone hung a Bloomberg sign on our door, so I ripped it in half and left it on the curb today.
Ooh.
Anything else you want to spout out about Bernie before we go dive further?
Well, there's actually a debate going on right now, or tonight, and it's I feel that he's in a really good position according to all the polls. So we'll have to see. He doesn't have to win South Carolina as long as he performs well. He'll go into Super Tuesday as, he'll still be the national front runner, and according to the polls, he's going to do super well on Super Tuesday. He's probably going to win California, get all those delegates, and he has an extremely good shot at getting a plurality of the delegates by the time he gets to the convention.
And then they can't fuck him.
Well, I think he has to get over 51%. So,
that's like impossible.
If he gets 51%, they can't fuck him. If he gets over 51%, they can't fuck him.
But even Nevada already felt like a blowout, but it was only 47%. So if you just get 47% for all 50 states, you can't even get 50% of the delegates.
I think. Well, actually, you're right, but also I believe in some states. I think. I don't know if this applies to all the primaries, but if you don't get over 15%, you don't get any delegates. So you just even though if people try to stay in to try to rob delegates from Bernie Sanders, if they don't get a certain threshold, they just don't get any delegates. So
it's like the aggregate delegate count can either go up. Can be higher or lower every 4 years depending on how many people just kind of claim 15% but get 0. So all those don't get allocated to anyone.
I think they do get allocated, but I think it's proportional to I think it'll be proportioned with the other candidates who get above 15%, but
get redistributed.
Yeah, I think we'll have to see what happens at the convention, but I think a lot of people say a lot of people project that he will get a plurality, but it's hard to say if he'll just win outright. So that's the thing every Bernie supporter is hoping for. Working really hard so he can get enough of the delegate count so the super delegates can't even jump in and vote in the first round. So I guess that's my take.
All right, finishing my chip. Let's say he gets 47%. That means the super delegates can come in.
That's right. They would jump in and vote.
So if he hypothetically gets 47% and Biden finishes with 25%, do the super delegates have enough power to like flip it all the way to Biden with that big of a margin?
Well, I don't know the raw numbers, but I guess that that could certainly be a possibility. But also that would be a very, very disaster. That would probably destroy the party.
Yeah, the entire constituency would lose faith.
Yeah, that would almost certainly guarantee a Trump victory because a lot of people would probably be disillusioned and dissatisfied and wouldn't vote in the general. And Trump could use that as like a talking point, like, oh, look at these corrupt Democratic Party officials robbing it.
Like you had
Bernie.
Only 25% Biden. Bernie had 47. What the fuck?
Yeah, and
is this about? Yeah.
Remember in 2016, if you recall, Trump he always ran on draining the swamp. Obviously, he didn't do that, but
he ran on it.
He could bring it back. Yeah, exactly. He could bring it back and use it, and people would still like believe it. So that would certainly guarantee, I think, a Trump victory if that were to happen. And if you just look at the performances by the other candidates, they would just get obliterated by Trump anyways. Like Mike Bloomberg and Biden, it would suck.
Yeah, I think what's troubling is, let's say the disaster happens. Bernie gets far and away the most delegates, but not enough. And the super delegates find a way to overturn it. I don't think obviously the media would still spin it in a way that favors whoever got that 25% and then got the boost. Like they would favor Biden, even if the whole country would probably lose faith in the entire Democratic body base would lose faith in the party. But MSNBC or CNN will still spin it as a positive, like, oh, we dodged a bullet there. We have that moderate candidate that can appeal to both sides and win. They would do that. And I think what their issue is they get caught up in the policies of Bernie. They get caught up in his, quote, socialism. And so really, I think they get so entangled with what he says and what he says he believes in. Yep. When really the reality of the voting body is they don't really care how he labels himself. And they just care that he authentically represents working people. And I think the point is that Bernie's campaign isn't about Bernie. It's not about I'm a socialist and I met this black lady and I met this Latino lady. It's not about what I did and how these minority people will vote for me and my experiences with these minorities. It's not me. It's not I. He's really only doing this to show the country how passionate working people can be about getting a fair share. So he's not really doing it to be president. He's really doing it for the revolution in itself. I think that's kind of my take, to kind of show the truth about what the American people want, and not really anything about him.
I think you made a lot of good points. I mean, the DC pundits, their analysis is really shallow, where they use the conventional way of, analyzing a political candidate, and they look at labels, and they're like, oh my God, he says he's a democratic socialist. That's never going to fly with the democratic, the moderate Democrat. But all these labels are very subjective. Like, people who say like they're moderate, conservative, progressive, whatever, it can mean anything to anyone. So yeah, if you take a look at the issues individually, what Bernie preaches, like raising the minimum wage, higher taxes, Medicare for all, single payer system, climate change action, that's all popular policies that people support, and it's reflected in the polls. I think there was a poll that said over 70% of Democratic voters support Medicare for all, and over 50% of Republicans. So if you just go issue by issue, Bernie Sanders is very popular, and I think that's what DC pundits and people in corporate media miss, because they're just going by conventional labels, and they're not really noticing that it's an issue and policy-based campaign that Bernie Sanders is running. So they miss the mark that it's, they're in their own little establishment bubble where they can't seem to understand what normal everyday people are experiencing.
Yeah, he's not selling himself, he's selling a revolution. And I think the other candidates are selling themselves, and a lot of the political commentators still think of it in terms of candidates selling themselves as an individual, and they're totally kind of chill with candidates using minorities and shit as pawns. And I mean, I don't want to like equate Sanders with Trump, but a lot of people didn't care that he's probably a sex offender, because he was kind of selling himself, but in a weird way he wasn't, and he was just tapping into an idea and a feeling. Yeah. And people just can't, I don't know, I guess they can't think in those terms, or they just refuse to, or they just are so well off that they just want things to kind of just be the same.
Yeah, that's a great point, because the Trump sex offender stuff, I mean, like, for Sanders and Trump, at the end of the day, people are thinking about what you're going to do for them. I don't think people, especially like ordinary people, they're not going to care like, oh my God, Bernie Sanders praised Fidel Castro, like, ha ha ha. Like,
he's going to win Florida, mark my words.
Like, they're at the end of the day going to say, what are the policies that you're preaching that are going to help improve my life? And yeah, like you talked about, like, selling an image of themselves. Bernie Sanders is always talking about, well, his campaign slogan is not me, us. So he's focusing on building a movement rather than like a campaign that's just based on one person. Like Amy Klobuchar, she always talks about like, oh, I'm the Midwestern unifier, and Pete Buttigieg is like, oh, I'm also the Midwestern guy, and Biden considers himself like the continuation of Obama.
They called me the poorest senator.
Yeah, I'm the poorest senator.
Was labeled the poor. Yeah,
yeah. Everything it's centered around themselves. It's kind of self-centered, but in Bernie's case, it's always talking about the collective movement.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And it's sad they don't see it that way. I guess they just grew up on the typical political rule book their whole lives. And I had one more point, but I can't really think of it right now. Maybe we'll take a break and then we'll go into the main section of the podcast. I think I know what I wanted to say. Well, I think you were talking about how people, the average voter doesn't care about what. The average voter doesn't care about like whether you were the poorest senator, or you know, the average voter doesn't care that like you only own one home, you know, or that like you kept getting reelected in Minnesota. Like the average character doesn't.
You just got three. God damn it, Bernie Sanders at 3 houses. What do you?
Yeah.
What do you do? You call yourself a socialist?
I know. I think what you're saying is the average voter cares more about what you're going to. I mean, if you want to be completely cynical, what are you going to do for me? Is that kind of what you?
Yeah. No, I think that's right because
Yeah.
there's a certain class interest in a lot of voting.
Now the interesting thing is, that's what I had in mind that I wanted to bring up. Now I remember is the Nevada hotel worker, and the argument was they're not going to caucus for Sanders because he's going to take away the health care in their current CBA, and they like their health care, and that union likes their health care, and they basically told their workforce not to caucus for Sanders.
Yeah.
So in a way, that is kind of a counter argument to your point. Like there was a direct thing that was being taken away from them, or that is being threatened to be taken away from them by Sanders. But I think what was actually stronger was that's a singular issue, and he's the only one that is willing to say, I am going to do X amount for you at the expense of the billionaires. So I feel like the more abstract idea of Bernie trumped the specific, we're a hotel union and we like our healthcare.
Well, I'm gonna give some pushback on that, Ryan.
Yeah.
But the whole thing about taking away someone's health care is actually a smear attempt.
Yeah.
Because it's framed as like you're losing something. But then what Bernie Sanders is proposing, Medicare for all, yes, you won't have you won't have the healthcare, your private healthcare plan, but to replace it's replaced by a single payer system where it's going to be there regardless if you get fired or you're looking for a new job. And it's not, and healthcare benefits are always something to be dangled above someone's head when they're negotiating with their employer. And now that it's, with Medicare for all, it's going to be off the table. So you can actually fight for higher wages rather than just fighting to preserve your existing coverage. So it's actually, I think it's a smear attempt by the media because,
yeah,
you're not going to pay premiums, co-pays, and deductibles and all that with Medicare for all. So it's just vastly superior than your actual private insurance plan. And
your current insurance plan, which you may like, is being replaced by, in abstract terms, your insurance plan is being replaced by a candidate who is going to fight for you and is willing to punish billionaires far more than any of the other candidates have tried to claim.
Get the guillotine out, Ryan.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes like. I think we agree. I think we agree. It's the revolution as a whole having a more powerful appeal than your private healthcare plan for a lot of people. And a lot of the analysts miss the mark, or they're intentionally missing the mark to mislead people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think, you made that point. I listened to your Nevada caucus recap podcast.
Thank
you. So that's Bernie. Powerful stuff.
I'm excited. Make sure you I know that I'm gonna rewatch I'm gonna watch the debate, like the the stream again and just take a look, because and I hope that you'll do it too, Ryan, because Mike Bloomberg's on stage and we want everyone to shit on him.
So South Carolina, what's the percentage you think he gets?
Who, Mike Bloomberg?
Sanders.
I'm gonna say mid 20s or mid to high 20s, but it's hard to say considering
because
Biden is leading, but he's been up there for like every single state that has already voted, and on the actual voting day, his numbers are just ridiculously bad. So we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, the polls. The polls. I mean, it's similar. Every Trump supporter in 2016 probably just like didn't respond to the polls because they just have so much mistrust of everything establishment in our country. So I wouldn't be surprised. I was hoping you were going to say like mid 30s, mid 40s.
yeah. I don't know about mid 40s. That would be great. I'd pretty good jizz my pants right now.
Yeah.
But that's probably unrealistic. Mid 40s. If he does if Bernie Sanders gets 30, I'd like cream myself.
Yeah. And I think Sanders is closely related to your identity, and Sanders is also closely related to kind of a cultural phenomenon that's kind of finally coming to a head. It's kind of like the day of reckoning for the white liberal, the Get Out. Have you seen Get Out? The Get Out liberal.
Ryan, I feel like people at work always tell me to watch a show, and I'm like, yeah, I'll
the
check
movie
that
Get
out.
Out?
Yeah, or like a show or a movie, and I'm always like, yeah, I'll do that. But my bucket list is probably like up to like 10,000 already.
Yeah.
I'm just never going to get to any of these movies.
Yeah, and I think what it comes down to is San Francisco is kind of overrun by the Get Out liberal, the conventional liberal, and now you're leaving.
I guess. Wait, because I haven't seen Get Out, are you able to summarize the white liberal aspect of it without spoiling the movie?
Yeah, and Get Out, all the white liberals kind of every white liberal wants their black best friend to kind of trumpet around to other white liberals.
I'm not racist because I have a black friend.
Yeah, and I mean it's in the trailer that I voted for Obama, and just that line itself just kind of sends shivers down the protagonist's spine. I voted for Obama. I would have voted for a third term. I think that's God. I feel like San Francisco is a Bernie city overall, but the tech liberal is taking over. It's pricing people out, and you're leaving.
I finally became one of those guys who are like, screw San Francisco, and just left. Except the screw San Francisco part, because I like San Francisco, but I ended up becoming that person.
Do you think Bernie is winning San Francisco?
I think so.
Yeah,
but I don't know if I sent you this text a couple months ago, but London Breed endorsed Mike Bloomberg like 2 months ago, as well as the San Jose mayor Sam Liccardo.
Yeah,
and it's just like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. So, I guess my question is, like, we know that San Francisco is not a cool city. It's just not as cool as other cities.
We're just not as cool or cooler.
It's not as cool as cities that are big enough to accommodate.
Oh, okay.
Basically, cities that are big enough to accommodate working people and people with alternative professions. It's not big enough to accommodate them, so it's just not a cool city anymore. I think it used to be. What do you like? LA's big enough to accommodate working people. And
Yeah, like New York, LA.
alternative people. Yeah, New York is. Now, if San Francisco it just like doesn't exist as San Francisco anymore, and we broaden our scope to like the Bay Area as a whole, maybe if we include Oakland, then it's still a cool city. Then Oakland's kind of Brooklyn, and Brooklyn's kind of getting gentrified. And so the idea of kind of, I want to analyze your existence in San Francisco and reflect on it before you leave. So do you feel like San Francisco was ever cool in your day? Or you never really, did you ever get to experience cool San Francisco?
I feel like I never thought about it. I thought it was always cool, but like...
It's because we were told it was cool,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. That's very true. But I don't know. I never really thought about it. I guess the only cool part about it is that I am acutely aware of is just the different cuisines and cultures, and it's a relatively small city that you can get to any part you want in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
But other than that, I haven't really thought about like, you know, anything else other than that.
Yeah. Because I would say when we finally came of age to like really have access to everything, a lot of the people of diverse backgrounds were already leaving. You know?
Yeah, or the tech people already took over.
Yeah, so maybe it's kind of relying on its history, but you can't really live its history. Like, we had hippies and LSD in the 60s, but
yeah,
I mean, we couldn't ever experience that.
What do you think, like, you know, looking at documentaries of San Francisco, they always talk about the past, like, oh, this used to be like a port town with like misfits and like hookers and prostitutes and like drunk sailors, and then they'll talk about like in the 60s there was a counterculture movement and people in the Haight-Ashbury
poets
like the Beat Generation. What do you think the legacy of San Francisco will what do you think the legacy of our era will be, like 30-40 years from now? What will they call this era that we're currently living in?
I think it's all about business and becoming a business hub. I think that's kind of what it comes down to. The money. Even
that seems so soulless to me.
Even 10 years ago or so, or even further, when we were still in high school, we didn't know it, but Mark Zuckerberg was convinced to come out to Northern California to flush out Facebook and not stay at Harvard. So it's kind of it had already kind of taken on that identity before we were even aware of it.
Yeah, I think you're right, because it's been going on for a couple decades, right? Like the Silicon Valley and all that hype.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go back into your life here. How about favorite neighborhood?
I'm biased because my horoscope is Cancer, so I'm very connected to home. So obviously my first choice would be Outer Sunset. So that's where I live, and the reason for that is it's just
almost dropped my laptop.
The reason for that is it's home, it's very peaceful, and it's just away from downtown and the hecticness and the chaos. That it just feels like it is like a residential neighborhood. So you know, it's not like there's a lot of cars. There's not a lot of people on the street. It's just kind of a quaint, peaceful, and calm neighborhood, which is what I like. But I think number 2 is maybe the Excelsior.
Yeah.
Well, part of that is because my dad works there, but it feels like a very down-to-earth, blue-collar neighborhood. There's no frills. It's not like the intermission where it's like you'll see a random, like, really nice apartment out of nowhere, or you'll see like a really upscale like restaurant or like a bar that caters towards hipsters like every now and then. Because the Excelsior just feels very consistent.
Do you feel like you get explicit experiences from the Excelsior? Because, yeah, like maybe it's filled with down to earth working people, but it's like, how does that, in a selfish way, like provide enjoyment for you?
I feel like the food, it's not like, you know, everything is affordable. There's great Mexican food. It's not, you know, it never feels like, it feels like you are in a for me, it feels like I'm in a natural state, in a natural place, because it's like, you won't see like your tech bro, or you won't see you won't see a lot, or, well, that's kind of changing, but you don't see that lifeless cube-shaped apartments all over the place, unlike Soma or like the financial district or whatever. It just feels very San Francisco to me.
And you're going to, I guess maybe in the past your friends lived there, and you're going to go out there and go to your friend's house. Exactly. It doesn't necessarily have to be a commercial experience, I guess.
Exactly. Maybe there's a nostalgia component.
Yeah. So I feel like right now you go to the Excelsior for the subtle Asian events, but also they're kind of put on by the very tech people that you claim are not there.
That is true. I guess it's funny thing is we were just in the Excelsior several days ago, so
yeah,
this is fresh in our minds. But yeah, I guess the thing is, in time there'll probably be the people who, for every neighborhood, it'll be discovered in quotes by someone that just moved to San Francisco from like God knows where, and they'll act like they you know found gold or something. But for the residents that actually live in that neighborhood, it's been there for decades and decades and decades until someone just discovers it.
Yeah, I think it's also hard to pick a neighborhood when our arts culture is pretty weak. Someone put it nicely to me. Our arts culture in San Francisco is very elitist. You got a big opera house. You got a Broadway musical
museums,
theater. You got big established MoMA museums, and it's hard to necessarily pick a place that you equate with like, oh, there's a lot of artists here. There's cheap events that are high quality, that are relatively underground. Maybe the one place would be like the Mission, but the Mission ultimately gets associated with techies now and gentrification. So you can't even really claim that as like a more populist art hub. I feel like a good example is usually when I have cool artistic experiences, it's in Oakland. Like I was filming because Oakland can accommodate people of different socioeconomic backgrounds better than San Francisco. There are these events that I film, and they end at 11 p.m. So you would think, okay, they end at 11 p.m. on a Thursday night. You would assume that the event space would be like, all right, they're closing at that time. Mm-hmm. But really, after our event, there's this jazz hangout session where jazz musicians come.
That's cool.
And they play till 5 a.m. And they have lunches.
That's crazy.
They have like hot food out, and they just kind of hang out and drink and play till 5 a.m. And there's the drummer from I forgot the name of the band, but he always comes by. I'll think of the name of the band in a little bit, but it was the drummer from Thundercat comes by all the time.
I don't know who they are.
Oh, that's okay. But yeah, like I don't think you can really find anybody that's gonna just jam till hold like events that you can market to the public and jam till like 5 a.m. all that often in San Francisco when compared to other cities. There's more room for things like that can accommodate stuff like that.
Do you think that, maybe I'm projecting, but do you think that when people move to San Francisco, they're looking for something like that? Like they're looking for that authentic slice of San Francisco, similar to what you described, like people, whether it's jazz clubs or like
visceral cultural experience. I think they still have that, but I don't think it feels like it's kind of parachuted in, I guess.
What do you mean by that?
Like it's kind of whoever is doing these things don't actually live upstairs or live in the neighborhood. They have to come in and then go back to the East Bay or wherever. And it's hard to necessarily I saw, like in New York they have spots in Greenwich Village like this is where I saw X, Y, and Z before they were famous. This is where they got their start. It's hard to necessarily say there's any kind of hub where you can see people or experience things where they get their start. I feel like we get all the things when they're established and then they come in and process that way.
I guess we're all looking for that Woodstock kind of moment where it's just like feels authentic and natural and organic.
Yeah, I guess like we had Summer of Love.
Yeah.
In 1969, but ever since then you can kind of see artists of that stature, but you have to pay like $200 to see them. It's a different time, different experience.
That kind of reminds me of the earlier we were talking about the mic'd up moments in the NFL. Even though they're trying to market that as like really organic and organic and natural moments, it's still wrapped up in the package of like a huge profit driven, probably $1 billion NFL league or NFL, like a really really corporate, really polished organization is trying to sell you seemingly natural and organic moments
to grow the brand. They're not gonna have like when Dak Prescott cussed out his quarterback's coach, because that's just bad for the brand. They're gonna have all the things that prop up their players.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah. Now, I kind of want to go more. We kind of took a long time to lay the groundwork of San Francisco.
We're finally here.
I want to go into your identity now. I guess we can start with kind of childhood. Maybe we can have like a memory from each year, as far back as you can remember.
Well,
maybe starting like kindergarten.
Oh no, not all these repressed memories.
Yeah, I know.
Well, okay. So where do you want to start?
Maybe what do you remember about kindergarten?
Kindergarten. Wow. Shoot.
The one thing that sticks out. One memory.
To be honest, I don't think I even really remember my kindergarten days. I remember preschool.
All right, what do you remember from preschool? One thing from preschool.
Just like, I don't know. It just, I remember the location where it was. It was next to the Ortega Branch Library. I don't remember what we exactly did other than like play with like puzzles and games and stuff like that. But
was there one thing? For me, we had dead fish, and we dipped the dead fish in ink and then we placed it on the paper to make like fish patterns. I remember that from preschool.
I don't know if it was a specific moment, but for preschool, just remembering where it was, because it was held. Like, you would never know that this location was a preschool, even though it was next to the library, because it would just be, like, hidden behind pillars. It would just be, like, a dark brown or black building hidden behind pillars that you would never know that it was actually, like, there was doors to go through to an actual classroom. It would just be, like, you would just never notice that something was there.
It was probably run by a Latina or a black woman. People that we need to celebrate and guarantee child care and raise their wages.
So, exactly right. I'm asking you to donate another $27 to our campaign.
Yeah. Would you say it was a working class childhood?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that I grew up with a lot of immigrant families, or at least it appeared that a lot of the families that were there picking up their kids, or like parents of my friends, were, immigrants from Asia.
Were you an immigrant, or you're a child of immigrants?
I am a child of immigrants.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is like all the different stages of identity formation in your life. So you have your preschool, going to preschool with fellow children of immigrants. Then you have your elementary school. I don't know if you have any elementary school memories that maybe were pivotal in the formation of somebody who wants to dedicate their life fighting for revolution and working people.
Well, there's one thing I'll say.
Yeah.
I remember every morning standing in neat little rows reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Every friggin' morning.
Do you remember how you felt about that?
Well, it's just like, oh my God. Well, it's just another thing you just did.
So you didn't necessarily have a cynical view of it at the time?
No, not really, because like you just do it. And then I remember as a kid, I would pray to be chosen for the color guard people who would like dress up with the little sash on your clothes to make you feel important, and then you would walk out with the American flag to like a really rehearsed show where you would essentially like walk out the flag and like have everyone say the Pledge of Allegiance in front of you, and you would just feel like your status was just like elevated.
So you wanted
heights.
to kind of be that authority figure? Because I remember you wanted to be a cop too at one point.
I would say I wanted to be I would say recognized in some way.
How did it changed from being that in that place of authority into kind of a new populist, like more so like you want your legacy to be the authority of the populist movement or the people.
Well, I would say now I just rail against authority.
How'd you get radicalized? Because you almost wanted to be part of the institution.
Well, here's the thing. This is an interesting story that goes into that begins in my middle school years.
Okay, yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah.
Where I became a freaking radical leftist, right?
Yeah, okay. All right, good. This is exactly what I wanted.
It all started when my friend told me to play the game Call of Duty. And this was in the year 2000, either late 2003 or early 2004.
That was like the Xbox 360?
No. The very first Call of Duty,
like the PS
on the PC.
The PC. Okay,
That's when you know it's OG because it's on the PC.
Yeah.
And there was obviously the first Call of Duty was based on World War II, Ryan.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And in one of the single player campaigns, you played as a soldier for the Soviet Union.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, I know. I would say early in my childhood, at least by middle school, I was a fan of history.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I know the people who fought in World War II. There's Germany, there's the United States, France, England, or the UK,
yeah,
so on and so on. But there's a country called the Soviet Union that when I looked up, it wasn't on the map and it didn't exist anymore. So I was very confused. I was like, why was it called the Soviet Union when where right now in its place it's called Russia?
Yeah.
So I decided to Wikipedia the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And it said they followed the ideas of communism, Marxism, etc., etc. And that's when, my 13-year-old self, I would look up the idea of Marxism and communism and try to make sense of it all.
Did any of it register? Were you able to comprehend much?
Well, the things that really spoke out to me was a society of equality. And that set me on the path towards leftism, Brian. Because the idea of equality was so captivating and spoke out to me.
Did inequality did certain moments of inequality appear before you, whether it happened to you or to other people, where it felt like the way the game is set up, it's not giving people an equal shot? It's not listening to everyone, that it's casting people aside unfairly in middle school?
I think when you're a child of immigrants being raised among kids of other immigrants, you realize that everyone is struggling to make it out there. And it's not like someone pulls up to school with, it's not like someone pulls up to school in like a Rolls Royce and you're like, I want to be that. It's everyone seemed like they were working class, or it appeared to be that everyone lived working class lives.
These were the different times for San Francisco public schools. Now Mark Benioff basically owns Presidio Middle School. And I remember going to watch Marina Middle School play basketball against my cousin. And when I thought of Marina Middle School as a child, I thought it was more of a tough hard knocks, sink or swim environment.
Marina Middle School.
I thought it was more like that, just because I went to private school, K-8, and I did basketball camps at Marina Middle School, and everything felt like a high school to me.
Oh, okay.
And my father went there, and I guess I always heard about how my father grew up poor and packed in with like, I don't know, like 6 people in like a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment in Chinatown. So I always equated Marina Middle School with a certain level of toughness, but then now, current day, you see a lot of like bougie mixed race kids that go to Marina Middle School that probably live up the hill, as opposed to people from, say, Chinatown or whatever. Different times.
Wow.
So you never really saw inequality in your school. Did you feel like there was like a disconnect with the teachers or the authority figures between you and them, or was it just more everybody was kind of in the same boat?
I think I didn't see a disconnect, but it just seemed to me that everyone was kind of on the same boat, or at least appeared to be on the same boat. So,
but I guess you kind of need to know what the alternatives are, right? To really get a chip on your shoulder about certain things.
That's, I guess that's true. And gosh, I'm thinking of it's like, I'm thinking of that. I think it was a quote by Karl Marx. If you don't, you won't notice your chains if you don't move, or you won't, something along those lines. You won't notice your chains if you don't stir, or something along that. So if you don't realize that or you don't see that there's immense inequality, you would think that what you're living in is normal.
Like if you don't see other people that aren't in chains, if everybody around you are in chains,
exactly, you would think that that's normal.
Yeah. Did you feel like you thought that was normal?
Well, to me, everyone just seemed like normal to me. Like everyone just lived like, everyone's parents were immigrants, or like their grandparents are immigrants, and everyone was there. And I think it was taught very early on from school that, like, we should,
work hard.
We're not. There's no divisiveness. Like we should all respect each other, and that gave me an idea that kind of gave me that thought that we're all just like in it together, or like we're just equal, and we should just
so your moment wasn't in middle school. Was there more of a moment in high school, or is it later on?
I guess the ideological roots was in middle school.
Yeah.
From that story I told you.
What's high school then?
I think high school, that kind of took a backseat to just literally just surviving in high school.
Yeah.
You're going through your typical high school moments of like, oh, am I gonna get into a good school, like, or I'm gonna be popular,
am I gonna go to the dance?
Exactly. Like, am I gonna be egged because I'm a freshman? Like,
it's a more self-centered time, I guess.
Exactly. You're right.
Okay. And I feel like you kind of left high school, I would say you'd still want to be a cop, possibly.
Yeah.
And then college.
Mm-hmm.
That was when you first moved to Sacramento. Was that weird? Leaving, I guess there's a lot to unpack there as far as
there's a lot.
Because in a way, I guess everybody that I knew left San Francisco, kind of indoctrinated, thinking that it was the most romantic, that it was the most progressive, that it was the most creative, etc., etc., etc. And then you can either go somewhere and still think that, or you can go somewhere and like learn otherwise. What was Sacramento Part 1 for you? It was. I feel like it was a reaffirmation of San Francisco.
I think so. The way that I look at it is, I feel like there were a lot of people that I knew from high school that were like, I can't wait to go to college and like party, or like be away from my parents, or like live the college life, etc., etc. But for me, I feel like college was a holdover until I could come back to San Francisco. Yeah. Because I always saw San Francisco as my home, and like I just like the familiarity. I like the familiarity, and I liked seeing my friends. Although that was kind of naive, because I thought like, oh, after college, like everyone just moved back to San Francisco because everyone loves San Francisco. Yeah. So it kind of in a naive way, I'd be like, yeah, this is just a holdover until I can come back to San Francisco.
Did you get radicalized then?
I would say it added a lot of well, in middle school I got interested in those ideas, but in college it really added that academic oomph, because I in my last semester I took a class called Socialism, Marxism, Communism, and we had to read like 6 books that were like 300, 400 pages each, and it was just like very, very rigorous. But I was really happy that I did that, because now you have some like intellectual weight behind what you felt. So you can actually say like, what I'm feeling is like supported by these texts, or like someone from like decades ago saw this, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I guess you had patterns and names for what maybe you were seeing in society.
Exactly. Yeah.
What was your assessment of the criminal justice system? Because I always was wondering about that. You study criminal justice,
right?
What was, and I guess in a way, a lot of schools take a political side at times, with like maybe one or two people being on the other end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
What was your opinion of the American criminal justice system by the end?
Wow,
I feel like at UCLA would have been like, oh, it's terrible. We basically should rethink the entire prison system and like come up with something completely new. It was very radical.
I think I came into school in college very very convinced through the use of compassion and being very connected and empathetic with the community or your neighborhood, et cetera, that very positive changes could occur. But as you may recall, during our college years, you had all these controversial police shootings. I think it was like, I think Trayvon Martin was Trayvon Martin was a security guard, but you had what was his name in I think it was Missouri or Michigan. I'm struggling to remember the name.
I know Michael Brown.
I think it was Michael Brown. I believe it was Michael Brown.
Was that New York, maybe?
I think Michael Brown was, I think it was like Michigan or Illinois or something like that.
Yeah.
Or St. Louis or something. But
the one in the St. Louis one was a big,
This is when we were in college.
St. Louis,
That was when it really blew up, because, that was smartphones were obviously a lot more accessible, and everyone like had one. So now everyone saw like all these controversial police shootings captured on video.
Yeah.
And that was like, wow, you can't just go full. I still believed in like being compassionate and being empathetic, but it was much more difficult.
Like potentially as a police officer yourself.
Yeah, or anyone having those sorts of beliefs, that it'd be much more difficult to actually change things, because there's that history of that legacy of tension between communities and the criminal justice system, and it's very deep-seated anger, and justifiably, but you can't. It's very difficult to undo decades of anger and disillusionment with just sheer compassion or like sheer will. There has to be reforms. There has to be like a concerted effort from government. There has to be policies, et cetera, et cetera.
So you kind of got that from college?
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of like maybe you settled on the idea that human nature is selfish and tribal, so there almost needs to be laws to completely overhaul what we've learned as people over generations.
I don't believe in the human nature argument. I really rail against the human nature argument.
So but there needs to be laws to almost put our society down the right path. Maybe not because human nature has taken over our society, but that corporations have.
I think in college, I still believed in emphasizing just compassion and being really rooted to your values, and just being empathetic and very, acknowledging the pain and suffering of other individuals. But I think now, obviously I don't believe in like, oh, people need to be controlled, because that's just BS. I think there's a lot that needs to be done. I'll just say that.
Maybe it's not that they need to be controlled, but they need something to buy into, and nobody's really provided.
Well, right now, as you may know, there's basically what we need is strong policies that improve the lives of working people and poor people, where we don't need draconian authoritarianism because at the end of the day, I think people know what's best. People know what's best, or they understand what's needed to improve their lives, and that's why obviously Bernie Sanders is my guy. But
yeah,
hopefully this is all being. Hopefully this feels connected, because I feel like I'm hitting on so many concepts.
I guess it's that maybe it's that the idea that the institutions and the corporations are the ones that don't know any better, and it's almost in their DNA to maintain or grow, and it's the role of government to say that actually you institutions and corporations will be a lot healthier if you kind of invest in the public good, because without that you'll grow unregulated, and then eventually we'll have another depression.
I think you're exactly right.
Again.
You're exactly right.
Okay. Yeah, I think you kind of exist away from the mainstream wavelength, Vincent, if you say so yourself. I'm kind of wondering if you agree.
What is the mainstream wavelength?
Well, I'm kind of wondering, like, say, what I kind of want to know, like, what part of contemporary culture have you bought into? Because I feel like there are a lot of things that you don't really buy into in contemporary culture, and you kind of, like you said, you're very principled. You like say I don't really take you as like a well, I guess one thing that came on my mind. Do you listen to audio on your smartphone?
I listen to music, yeah.
For some reason, all this time, I don't know. I just thought like maybe you don't listen to audio on your smartphone, and you just listen more so on like laptop. I don't know why I thought that.
Well, first, I don't have a laptop, but
or on your desktop. Yeah.
I would say I listen to music and YouTube, but I don't know if I listen to podcasts or anything. Maybe, ironically,
maybe it's more of a pop culture thing. Like, do you know who like Billie Eilish is?
Dude, I've heard the name, but I have no idea who Billie Eilish is. There's all these, yeah. I'm just maybe it goes back to the point of pop culture. I don't know anything about celebrities or like
your ways. Yeah.
I just like don't care. I just don't care about them. I don't care about celebrities.
What was it like? I guess was it like being surrounded by other people who felt the same way, or?
Because I feel that there's no reason to learn about the lives of people, of the immensely rich and privileged people, because fuck them. Because it's like,
do you remember like how you came to that conclusion?
I don't know if it's like a specific incident. I feel like it's just a slow realization that these celebrities are so distant and disconnected from ordinary people that there's no reason to even follow them. And what's important is improving the well-being of ordinary people rather than living vicariously through celebrities.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a phenomenon that brings San Francisco into the picture, because it's like when you grew up, you grew up learning to hate LA. Don't be Hollywood.
Fuck the Dodgers.
Right? Yeah, the Dodgers suck. You don't want to be Hollywood. You don't want to be glamour. You don't want to be image conscious. You want to be more grunge. You want to be more gritty. You want to be more ordinary.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess the change now is that the new phenomenon is the businessman is the celebrity. I want to have a feature on Forbes. I feel like the idea of celebrity has gotten kind of a little more democratized. I'm going to be on NPR.
Yeah.
I have my own brand. I have my own
The YouTube
startup. I have my own YouTube page. And I think that's kind of consumed San Francisco too. Did you hear about this startup, or this guy was on TechCrunch,
or he was on BuzzFeed,
Forbes under 30 under 30, BuzzFeed, yeah.
Or speaking of Forbes 30 under 30 was Stephen Ng, Lowell alumni.
Oh, really? He was?
I think so.
Because he kind of fashioned himself as an entrepreneur too.
Exactly.
Yeah. What did he end up doing?
I don't know his exact role, but you know,
Yeah.
he does a lot of fundraising through Kickstarter for like merchandise.
Yeah, so I guess,
Obviously I don't follow him, but I just know.
yeah, I guess our city has kind of converted from, I guess, rejecting all forms of kind of conventional ego, and now it's more of an entrepreneurial city. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to.
Yeah. I want to be that.
I want to have a blue check mark next to my Twitter.
I want to be verified.
Yeah.
I want to be that guy who leads the next big startup or whatever.
Yeah, and
Feels
I
that way.
guess like you haven't really fallen for the. I don't know. Have you fallen for that elixir? Because you are on Twitter now. You used to not be on Twitter.
There's so many. Okay,
You not being on Twitter probably played into like me thinking you don't really participate in contemporary culture.
I feel like we can dedicate another segment to Twitter.
Yeah.
But I'll just say this.
Do you want to be verified?
I love, dude. Get me that blue check mark. Anyways.
Yeah. What were you gonna?
I was gonna say. I guess now. I guess I believed in and then too, but particularly now, I don't believe. I basically don't care or believe that the biggest. How do I say? Basically, we're fetishizing the whole concept of being an entrepreneur. Like that's literally like the best thing that we can strive for. That's the only thing we can strive, like we should strive for, is just
It's kind of being equated with creativity.
yeah, like being an entrepreneur is like this freaking value that everyone should love and aspire to. And I guess at the end of the day, you can't save capitalism by doing more
By
capitalism.
being an entrepreneur, yeah.
Yeah, you can't save the ills of, you can't cure the ills of capitalism with more capitalism. So I guess at the end, that's the fundamentally what I believe in.
So I guess I don't know if this might be like a step too far, but would you fetishize being a revolutionary? Do you feel like an ounce of you, an inkling of you wants to be a revolutionary because, well, one, it's the right thing to do, but maybe, you might have that blue check or something down the line.
I think that's a part of that is very appealing.
Having like 100,000 people listening to this podcast right now or something.
Yeah, in a selfish way, you want to be the guy that's looked up to, the guy that has authoritative weight. That's kind of the self-serving reason, but at the same time, it's like, I think where we're at in terms of our age, we're in our late 20s. You want to... It's very difficult for me to think of a life where I'm just working 8 to 5 or whatever the rest of my life, and that's just the way the things are going to be for the rest until I die. And you look at history of these great movements, great people, and they're they're, whether it's like Martin Luther King Jr., Bernie Sanders, whether it's like FDR, like Marx, Engels, Lenin, et cetera, who are making big changes. And you're like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I don't want to live a life where I'm just chained to my work. I want to do history making. I want to create history making moments. So you're always kind of selfishly looking for that high. You're selfishly looking for that moment where you're making your mark in history. I guess that's kind of how it is for me.
Yeah, and I think San Francisco is kind of a microcosm for that change. I think when I was in high school, I found nobility in simplicity, like nobility in owning a home, being a good husband, having a family, being a good father, and maybe own a shop where you make, you sell skateboards, or you fix shoes, or you're a teacher, or you're a nurse, or there's kind of, I feel like that was a little bit more of what you'd run into in our younger days. People who kind of hated Hollywood and kind of wanted to be middle class, and it was almost like San Francisco was the middle. Maybe when we were growing up, but now it's kind of gotten overtaken by the democratization of the celebrity. It's the center of the tech social media hubs that kind of democratized the celebrity, and it kind of got taken over by that.
Well, I mean, just look what we're doing. We're having a podcast and we have mics in our hand.
I know. So I guess where are you gonna? I kind of want to end with like this. Where are you gonna settle down when it all? Do you feel like you'll still settle down here or somewhere? Do you feel like there's a better home out there that shares more of your values? Another city, Sacramento.
Well, I always want to say, I always tell people San Francisco's my home.
And also, it might just be a nationwide thing, and it's inescapable at this point.
Well, I just want to say one thing about, you mentioned like being a good husband, owning a home, having a good job, whatever.
Maybe even organizing labor in your neighborhood, or like doing just little community things. Oh, we did a grassroots movement to fix our park.
Yeah. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, we kind of make our own goals, especially if we're adults, because it's like there's no like set in stone like this is the way you need to, this is what you strive for as an adult, because at the end of the day you make the goals that you have to follow or whatever. And if your goal is to be a good husband or own a home, then if that's what you really want and makes you happy, then you should go for it. Because at the end of the day, it's not like we're kind of floating about.
Yeah, I think most people got intoxicated by this new celebrity. So if you are a good husband or you do own a home, you also maybe want to have a YouTube channel that shows we all kind of went under the spell, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know, that's really, I guess I am reminded of a Cornel West quote that he said. I think he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. I don't know where I don't think it's his. I think he might have been quoting his mom or someone that he listened to or influenced him when he was younger. But I think it went something like this. Because Cornel West is a very religious person. He said something along the lines of, along your way to the kingdom of paradise, leave a little heaven behind. So on your way to meeting your goals, I think this is what I interpret the quote to be. On your way to meeting your goals or being successful, make sure that you're helping someone or you're doing something that can help others along the way. So I like that quote. That speaks a lot to me. Like, life can't just be about to me at least, it can't just be about getting rich and fucking over everyone in the process. It has to be,
or even like being kind of humble and just kind of isolating yourself with your family and
even isolating yourself for the family, like
in a humble way, not necessarily like a selfish way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you're successful, whether it be with like you're rich or you have a good job or you're stable, what's like, if you think about it, what's after that? And that's why the quote is so important.
Yeah,
because you want to do something more. You want to do something that's like you want to do something more than just being stable or getting rich or like owning a home or whatever. I think that's what I feel about everything.
How do you want to if you do something above the ordinary? Mm-hmm. What do you think? How would it be commemorated? You want like a plaque? You want a plaque on a community center? You want a Wikipedia page? Like, if you wanted to indulge in your revolutionary aspirations, how do you want to be commemorated? Have a school named after? Like,
I don't know. I feel like those are all. I don't know. I'm quite a modest person, so I feel like I don't. As fun it is sometimes to have your ego stroked, I think at the end of it's very difficult to say what I want out of it, because I think at the end of the day, it's not as fun it is. Maybe it's fun to have your ego stroked for like a day or two, but at the end of the day, for me, I don't know. I feel like as long as you see average, normal, everyday people thriving, I think for me that's a good place to start, at least.
Where do you to kind of wrap up? Where do you think you're going to settle down? Come back to San Francisco? Stay somewhere else? If you had to name one city,
history is very.
You had to guess
the future is very fluid, Ryan. So
you're not going to name.
The heart says Sacramento. The heart says San Francisco.
Yeah,
but when I don't know.
If you had to,
I don't know.
If you had to bet on it, you might even bet Sacramento.
If I were to bet on a purely selfish, no, hold on, let me back it up. If I were to only do
practical,
purely,
pragmatic,
practical, purely based on career prospects, it would be Sacramento. If my only intention was to be to like have a very stable and successful career, it would be Sacramento. But from an emotional point of view, it would be San Francisco.
I guess the thing that always touches me is the idea of taking your city back and enabling people to take the city back through, because I guess where you grow up is all just kind of a abstract concept that doesn't necessarily matter. Like San Francisco itself, you can say you grew up in San Francisco, but it's you can even parse it even more. Like, oh, I grew up in Chinatown, so I have to like stay in Chinatown, or like, am I gonna be like, am I gonna live in the Sunset, and do I feel like I got gentrified because I left Chinatown to go to it's kind of like a where do you draw the line thing. But like, you can't really deny the spiritual connection. I guess there are practical things. You gotta get a moving truck. You gotta change schools. You have family or relatives back at the old city, or there's like a financial capital thing, but then you can't really deny the spiritual connection. I guess I don't want to deny the spiritual connection.
So would you say that you're a SF guy also, or are you? Where do you see yourself settling down? In some ways you're already settling down, but
I think I do. I think I want to. Well, I feel like career choices may lead me to other places, but ultimately, I would want to settle here, own property here, and in my own way kind of be able to dictate terms and culture, big or minuscule, here, because
Leave that mark.
You can't deny memory, and I guess you can't deny past experiences and people you've bumped elbows with and the power dynamics of those interactions.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that is part of the ego too, because maybe some of that will be forgotten after you pass. But I don't know. I guess you can pass more peacefully that way.
There's definitely a charm with telling your friends or your kids or whatever, like, this is how the city was when I was a little kid. There's definitely a lot of charm and emotional weight that comes with that.
Even though that doesn't necessarily leave a tangible mark, in a way it does, because you're almost teaching people to fight for their land. I guess human history has come down to territory a lot of the times. Some people may say that's a bad thing, but it's the truth. I don't know. And we're acting like I'll visit Sacramento. I know it's not like the Rice podcast is dying, but I feel like these are interesting ideas that are always hard to put your thumb on.
It's difficult to put your thumb on it in just one podcast.
Yeah,
we know as the corporate jargon goes.
Yeah, I guess we'll analyze Sacramento once you get settled there too. Get your takes.
Yes, sir.
And with that was Forbidden Rice, February 25th, 2020.